You were present when your coworker called 911?
Correct.
And do you recall him telling 911 that he appeared to be under the influence?
Correct.
And you had also had, by the time 911 was called, you had had 2 other interactions with Mr. Floyd outside of the car.
Correct.
All right. And so you made the decision after Mr. Floyd handed you this counterfeit $20 bill that you weren't going to call him out on it like you did with the earlier bill.
Correct.
And was that in part because you felt maybe he's under the influence?
Partially. Partially, the other person that had come in, it kind of seemed like he was trying to scheme, like he knew it was a fake bill and he was trying to get over. I thought that George didn't really know that it was a fake bill, so I thought I'd be doing him a favor.
Okay, trying to help him out. And could you have, I'm just asking generally, could you have just let it kind of go and then told your manager later, hey, put it on my tab?
Correct.
And but you made the decision to talk to your manager, show him the bill, and your manager instructed you to go talk to Mr. Floyd and his friend out in the car.
Correct.
So when you went out to the car the first time with your first coworker, you had a relatively short conversation with him, right?
Correct.
And you went to the passenger side of the vehicle, and the person in the red pants and the white t-shirt, that was the same person that had previously tried to pass the fake $20 bill.
Correct.
And you were encouraging them to come into the store.
Correct.
You were kind of saying, you got to come in, you paid with the fake bill, we got to deal with this, right?
Correct.
You specifically told them that he had used a counterfeit bill.
Correct.
And that they needed to come in and either pay for the cigarettes or
Talk to my manager.
or talk to the manager, right?
Correct.
Okay. And how would you describe the general tenor of that conversation? What I mean by that is, was it pleasant or was it more aggressive?
It was pleasant. It wasn't in any way, shape, or form aggressive. It was just pretty annoying.
Yeah, just come on in, guys. It was your first attempt to kind of say, hey, come on in, guys. You got to deal with this, right?
Correct.
And you were trying to be polite to these gentlemen.
Correct.
Right? And you then had that conversation, and during that first conversation, you said that Mr. Floyd was not really speaking to you, right?
No.
And you said that he was kind of putting his hands up and putting his head back and things of that nature, right?
Correct.
And you then went back into the store, talked to your manager again, and told him they were not agreeable to coming into the store.
Correct.
And the second time you left the store, you were sort of following the other coworkers, agreed?
Correct.
And you would agree that that video sort of showed the 3 of you almost run out of the store.
Correct.
And you wanted to get them before they drove away, right? Or why would you run the second time?
Correct.
I mean, so they didn't drive away, or for some other reason?
Correct.
Now, in terms of the second exchange at the vehicle, the coworker went to the driver's side at first, right?
Correct.
And you stayed back a little bit, right?
Correct.
And then you brought back up to the vehicle, right?
Yes.
And you heard what was the conversation, you heard what was being said, both by the passenger of the vehicle as well as your coworker.
Correct.
You indicated that the passenger pulled out the other $20 bill, right?
He picked it up off the ground.
Why was it on the ground?
Because he threw it on the ground.
The bill that Mr. Floyd used, was that still in the store?
Correct.
And so this other $20 bill he threw it on the ground, right?
Correct.
Your coworker picks it up, and who ripped it?
the person that was in the passenger seat.
Or he handed it, your coworker handed it back to him or something? Or did he rip it and then throw it on the ground?
The person in the passenger seat ripped the bill, threw it on the ground. The bell was talking to him, and the person picked it up, and it's in the bell.
Okay. And again, this conversation was primarily with the the passenger of the vehicle.
Correct.
And there was a female in the back seat of the car.
Correct.
Was she engaged in the conversation at all either?
No.
All right. So, and Mr. Floyd, again, he was not really part of the conversation at that point either.
Not really.
He didn't say, you didn't remember him saying anything?
I would say I do not recall.
Okay. But again, you described his behavior, I think, as kind of just shaking his head, putting his hands up, putting his head back, things of that nature, right?
Correct.
The second conversation was the demeanor of, or the tenor of that conversation more heated?
Yes.
And there was an outright refusal by either Mr. Floyd or his passenger to come back into the store.
Correct.
And it was based on that conversation that you decided to, or it was decided by your manager to call 911.
Correct.
And again, you were present